We're back. StarTalk Sports Edition. Cosmic queries on the physics of Olympic sports. And we've got the one and only Eric Goff, author of Gold Medal Physics. Did I get the title of that correct, Eric?
It is. That is
Gold
correct.
Medal Physics. You know, you need some brains in the middle of what you're doing with your brawn and your speed or whatever else. And he's got it. Plus, he's got a black belt in karate. Put that on your resume, on your business card. Okay, PhD physics, black belt in karate. That's all you have to put, and you're good to go.
So Eric, your students don't give you any problems.
Any problem at all. No. So Eric, can we find you on social media?
John Eric Goff is my public Facebook page. I'm still a little bit of a dinosaur on the social media front, but it's coming along.
Okay, all right. Well, and the more fans you get on it, the more they'll egg you on in that direction. Yep. So John Eric Goff, Facebook, excellent. And Chuck, you're still going at Chuck Nice Comic?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
And I did confirm that, yes, I do follow you. For a while there, I was wondering, do I follow this?
Let me guess. You started this morning.
No, it was.
Just so you could say that right now.
Yeah. And Mr. My Three Left Feet on Twitter.
Yeah, My Three Left Feet. That's it.
You got it. You got it. So let's get back to our Patreon questions. And who's up next?
All right. Okay. Let's go with the next Patreon question. Alec.
But before you do that, it occurred to me, in my background here, the audio, there is a ticker tape parade moving up Broadway.
For the essential workers.
Yes.
Yeah, there's essential workers, first responder workers.
First responders.
In celebration of coming out of COVID, because the city is basically open now.
Oh, good.
And so it's a ticker tape parade, which is reserved for heroes. Heroes, and in the old days, politicians, but nowadays, politicians, no one thinks of them as heroes.
Right.
But people who put their lives at risk in the service of others are still respected. And if you win the World Series.
Right. Same thing, right? Save my life,
Super Bowl.
the Yankees
heroes.
won. It's the same.
It's the same thing. Yeah. So if you hear that in the background, that's why.
The Canyon of Heroes.
The Canyon of Heroes, Lower Broadway.
Essential workers, well deserved. Right.
Yes.
Alex,
you got it.
Okay,
what do you have?
All right.
Gary?
My question is, are there unique ways that athletes, especially Olympic athletes, train their minds not to choke when literally the whole world is watching them?
Oh, tell us about that choke factor, Eric. Do you get into that as well?
Well,
what's the physics of choking?
Well, I mean, focus is obviously what you have to do. I mean, you have to be able to tune out the crowd noise, the other events that might be taking place. The best example I ever saw of this was Michael Phelps and the death stare. I mean, getting up to the pool and just this, I'm going to kill you look on his face before he jumped into that pool. And of course, whenever you've got to do some kind of pre-competition routine, you're going through a checklist in your mind of what you're about to do, or you're thinking of other things. All kinds of relaxation techniques are going to be available to athletes in modern training. So, they're going to have to find what works best for them whenever they get out onto the field there.
So it's to have a death stare that works when you're a good swimmer.
It sure does.
Helps if you're the best in the world.
If you're the best in the world, it works every time.
Yeah. Hey, water, you're going down.
But so are there some sports, would you say, need your mental focus more than others? For example,
well, if I was Simone Biles and I was about to hop up on a balance beam, I'd want to make sure that I'm very focused on where I'm walking.
You'd think? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I mean, there's certain sports, Neil, where there's, pun intended here, choke points. So golf is part of the Olympics. Tennis, those you're serving for the match. You're putting.
How is golf a part of the Olympics?
Hey, the messenger.
Come on.
Messenger.
Do
not do this to the messenger.
First of all, I did not know that. Secondly, I am pissed off like you can't believe. Okay, a sport where you get in a cart and drive to the next thing you got to do? Are you kidding? And some other dude carries your bags for you? Are you kidding me?
You finished?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Nice just blew a gasket.
I can't believe this.
Maybe the caddies should be the ones being awarded the medals.
There you go. It's like
no sport where you actually where the people who play the sport, okay, aside from softball, no sport where there is a significant portion of the population that plays the game so they can drink. That's ridiculous.
Okay, Chuck. All right, I'm going to press the button
Chuck
again.
blew a gasket.
Yeah. Would you want in the equestrian section of the Olympics? Do you want the horse to get a medal as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, the rider should get a medal, but the horse, when they win the Kentucky Derby, they put a laurel leaf of roses around the horse. It's just like, thanks a lot, guy. One day you'll be glue, but right now we love you.
Well, hey, but don't forget when ESPN did their top 50 athletes of the 20th century, Secretariat was 35 on the list.
Nice. Okay.
So
Going back to the original question from Alex.
I'm sorry.
I forgot the original question because Chuck blew a gasket.
I forgot the original question.
We're talking about relaxation techniques.
Yeah, we'll take it to
and
the
then we got
workshop
Chuck
after.
relaxing there for a minute.
Remember we had Dr. Leah Lagos on, and she had this heart rate variability, biofeedback, controlling breathing, and then people could dial up or dial down their own inner self. And they could, if they got the technique really quickly, they could control it within about one single breath.
Right.
I can imagine that, Professor,
and remember,
being vital.
some anxiety is good.
Right.
I mean, you want to be on the edge of stress, and you want to be able to feel that anxiety whenever you're going out to perform at that high level.
As a matter of fact, what you just said is one of the things that she pointed out to us is that for some athletes, they don't want to dial down the excitability of their brain.
Yeah.
For others, they do, but it also depends on the task at hand. You want some anxiety and stress and like that feeling of, oh my God, well, I'm like, you want that to work to feed you in certain situations.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, I always imagine a conversation between a baseball player and a golfer, right? And they don't know anything about each other's sports. And so the baseball player asks the golfer, how fast is the ball moving when you hit it? Not at all. well, where is it? It's on the ground between my feet. Are people screaming at you? No. It's total silence. So when you swing, is the ball moving then? No, it's still there the whole time. And so just to compare, and how about you? When you hit the ball, how fast is the ball going? 90 miles an hour? The person who throws it, do they want you to hit it? No, they do everything they can so that I can't hit it. Are people silent? No, they're making as much noise as they can. Right. So I have to agree with you, Chuck. Golf, I can't embrace it. And
in your analogy, the one thing is like sometimes that guy throwing the ball, sometimes he just throws it at my head. And I gotta figure out which one it is. I never know what's happening.
So Gary, what else do you have for us?
All right. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. Dhruv Vyas. This is interesting. This is an interesting way to approach this. How are modern day athletes taking advantage of latest breakthroughs in AI and machine learning to analyze their opponents as well as in taking informed decisions about their own bodies? Does the Olympic governing body have some rules regarding using such an AI to prevent athletes to gain unfair advantage? Ooh, I wonder if the Olympic Committee, the IOC, have got ahead of this and have built in anything regarding the use of AI.
And let me add to that, is it possible that AI would discover a physics loophole that you had not considered in evaluating how someone can perform in a sport? I would count the Fosbury flop as a loophole. And AI might have been in a position to have discovered that before humans did.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard about the IOC doing anything to ban yet, but certainly one of the things we're going to see at this Olympics, I know Intel and the Alibaba cloud and all that, they've got these 3D athletic training that's going to be able to help with viewership. Whenever you're watching this stuff, you're going to see real-time data, speed, who's in the lead, the distance traveled. They're going to have these cameras set up around the various events. They're creating these little like 3D meshes and
These
stuff.
are geek monitors. I love it.
Exactly. And they're going to have outlines of the athletes, and you're going to have biometric data in real time. And this is being used in training. You can actually acquire this data in training. You can know, like, where are you outputting the most power in a given event? Where does your power wane? Where do you need to pick it up a little bit? Athletes have talked about in various different events how they can move a slightly different way, a slightly different lean angle, and all this provided by all of this data that's been acquired, and they can shave a couple of tenths of a second off of a 100-meter sprint, or do a little bit better on a dive. To Gary's point,
Eric, is that unfair if someone doesn't have access to it? And if it is deemed unfair, is it any more unfair than wealthy countries with modern? Historically, wealthy countries had clean, modern training facilities. By the way, this was contrasted with in Rocky IV, right? There was Drago with all the scientists around him performing experiments.
And a shot in his arm.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we saw that. That's right.
Yep.
And there's Rocky, hauling logs up a snowbank. So does the Olympics think about parity in training?
I mean, personally, I think whatever you can use to train and whatever, science can help you provide ought to be legal. Now, I'm not talking about, maybe
nothing performance enhancing, right?
Maybe the Speedo LZR, the racer suit that was the big thing in 2008 Beijing, where NASA starts working with Speedo, and all of a sudden you've got like a way to trap bubbles in there and help your buoyancy. I mean, if you're talking about equipment advantages, that's different. But I mean, if we're just talking about, people have nutritionists, they know what diet to have. They know the best way to get their carbs up to a certain point, like when they're running the marathon. I mean, all of this is just attacking science in different ways, from nutrition to strength and endurance to flexibility to watching your balance, your form, where you're outputting more energy in a given event. And I see no problem at all with technology being able to help people do it. They're always going to be advantage. I mean, money's always, sponsorship and all this, they're always going to be able to help some athletes and then not others.
So why not, if everybody gets the suit that has the bubbles in it that keeps your buoyancy, why not let everybody get the suit?
That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. If everybody is allowed to use the same suit, that's different. But I mean, if you're creating advantages with equipment that's used in a given event that other countries don't have, I mean, that's a little different, I think.
But this is the same thing with the marathon running shoe with the carbon fiber plates in it. They have not allowed it into competition because it is not readily available for every athlete. Now, if we go back to AI, and it can't obviously help you in the competition of your event, but it can help you in preparation. But is it available to every athlete?
No,
because if it isn't, then you either decide that it is going to be available to every athlete, or you scrap it.
Yeah, but you can't tell people how to train. And AI, it would be more of a training construct than it would be a
then the playing field's not level.
No. I mean, listen, the United States wins the Olympics for the most part, medal count every single Olympics, because why? We're a very rich nation, and we give people the freedom of choice to pursue their passion. So it's not like the government is saying, oh, you're going to be a track star. No, it's somebody who has come up from the time that they're a kid dreaming about being a track star. But then some corporation steps in and says, I'm going to dump a bunch of money on you so that you can realize that dream.
Yeah, but
that's an advantage.
But you can improve things, because, I mean, look at 1992 with the Dream Team. Their first match was Angola. Angola had like 2 gyms in the whole country where they played basketball. And of course they get demolished. But look where international basketball has come since we, started, the NBA was funneling money into other parts of the world and stuff. I mean, sure, the rich countries are always going to be first, and they're always going to have all the advantages with training. But eventually, I think it helps pull up the other countries too. Eventually.
Yeah, okay. And also, Gary, so if I train at high altitude because I live at high altitude, you can't say no. You have to train at sea level because everyone else is.
No, see, this is the discussion. I'm not saying one or the other, but that's
Yes, you were. Don't pretend like you didn't vote on that. We got time for like a couple more.
All right,
more questions here.
We've Woody. I think we've kind of touched on your question about the advantages with richer nations and training and nutrition and how we get it. I have a producer bonus question, which I think will. Here we go. So,
one of our producers asked this.
Yeah, and that would be me.
Okay.
If we were to watch one event in the Olympics, it's always who's the fastest human on the planet? It's the 100 meters. And so if somebody, Eric, is going to
just to be clear, the 200 meters is run in faster time than twice the world record of the 100 meters. So technically, the winner of the 200 is the fastest human, just to put it out there.
But we all watch the 100 meters.
Yeah, we all watch the 100 meters.
Whether it's better marketing, whether they got a better advertising team, I don't know, but it's the 100 meters.
Plus, it's on a straightaway, so it's one camera shot all the way down. Okay,
and
go.
So what speed is an athlete going to need to break Usain Bolt's 9.58 seconds?
Well, when he was in the 2012 Olympics, I think the Olympic record he set was 9.63, but he hit almost 28 miles an hour in the latter part of that run. So you're talking about getting up to 28, 29 miles an hour. When FloJo set the record, you know, she was a few miles an hour.
Florence Joyner.
Yeah, Florence Joyner, back in '88. So this was a couple miles an hour slower. So we're talking about 25, 26 miles an hour. But I mean, you're definitely speeding in a school zone here. I mean, you're definitely past 25 miles an hour here.
Don't run past the schools. You get a ticket in every state.
Wouldn't it just be great if they're on the track and it's like, woo!
the police officer at the end of the track with a radar gun.
Hitting you with a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a speed that human beings, I'm not talking about cheetah, like 70 miles an hour, but is there a speed with our physiology that is our absolute top speed?
Yeah.
Well, right now it's about 28 miles an hour. I mean,
in other words, we're already there.
But also keep in mind when Bolt set this record, he's 6'5", and if you do a little biomechanical scaling, your speed's going to scale with your height. Short things, little short critters, they have great acceleration. The bigger animals, they have larger speeds, top speeds. It took him 41 steps to set that Olympic record. The person who got the silver was Johan Blake. He was 5'11", took him 5 more steps to cross that finish line. So, he had fewer steps that he had to take. Bolt did when he made that 100-meter run and set that record. So you talk about advantages. Hey, the guy's 6'5". I mean, that's already an advantage when you're running a 100-meter sprint.
So how tall do we go? Do we get to a 7-foot athlete to get that leg length, that leverage? Or is that just now gone too far?
Now the problem is these like a pendulum. Now you're swinging a lot of mass in a given direction, and you've got a lot more air drag too with the taller you are. So, I think Bolt almost hit kind of an optimum. He hit the right size and then the right strength profile.
So we have notes that Shikari Richardson is 5'1". Is that correct? Is she the one, the sprinter?
Yes, she's a sprinter, and unfortunately for this Olympics, it's been announced that she will not be able to.
Well, this is from the marijuana in her,
right? Which is total BS. Like everybody's marijuana is pretty much legal everywhere now.
Well, no, but that's not even it. It's that marijuana never made anyone run faster.
Yes, thank you. I was about to say that. She should actually be applauded.
For that.
Yeah, it's like it makes you run faster to the store to get some chips or something, maybe. But
faster to get the munchies.
But Trayvon Bromwell is about 5'8", I think, and he's a candidate for the 100-meter. And I mean, so when you watch the 100-meter, watch the shorter athletes come out of the block faster. They're going to have the acceleration advantage. Watch the taller athletes pick up the speed at the end, and then it's a race to see which one had the advantage there. And when you watch that Bolt in 2012 when he set the record, one thing about that, he was the fastest coming off the block.
So he got him both ways there.
He got him both ways.
So there you go. That's indefensible. I got the acceleration and I got the top speed.
That ain't fair.
Bromwell's the fastest at 100 meters in 2021 right now, correct? Professor?
Who is?
Bromwell?
Oh, yeah, Bromwell, I think, has the top
Was it 977? I think for 100 meters.
Yeah, he had.
What do you care that it's the fastest this year? We're talking about Usain Bolt, for goodness' sake.
No, I know, but this year we're going into the Olympics and there's no Bolt.
Yeah.
No Bolt.
No Bolt.
Okay.
And that 977, that's only the 7th fastest speed ever. So I mean, that's pretty good.
But Eric, I don't want you to be the person who in 50 years people look back on and said, he thought we hit the maximum and now we're running it in 9 flat. Right? This is what they said about the 4-minute mile and the 2-hour marathon and
27 feet. And
yeah. So do you want to retract anything you've said in this program?
I don't think we've hit the peak of anything. I mean, we're always going to be making these millimetric, progressions toward new records and microsecond changes, and technology is helping us get there. I mean, technology is definitely helping the training of the athletes, and humans are getting a little taller. So I mean, we'll see what 100 years from now looks like, or at least we won't. But just other people will.
Just a clarification for the 4x100 relay announced pretty much right before this show. She will not be able to compete. The team announced the runners without her name.
So that she won't be able to is that she was not chosen.
No, in other words, she was denied.
Denied. Yes, that's what I.
She's
correct.
denied.
Wow. Mm-hmm,
So she is denied competition for that, and the team says all USATF athletes are equally aware of and must adhere to the current anti-doping code, and our credibility as the national governing body would be lost if the rules were only enforced under certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it.
Right. So that means many fewer people will be watching that event.
That's really what it means.
That's at the end of that day. Right. Right. Well, we got to bring this to a close. I mentioned this before, but this is another occasion to say it again. Forgive me, I don't remember which airport I was in, but I look at airport mosaics that are on the floor and I photograph them. A lot of them have cosmic relevance, a compass rose or a constellation. A lot of them do, interestingly. So one of them was a plaque that said on such and such a date, maybe 2012, Usain Bolt landed at this airport. And then it said, and his plane landed 10 minutes later.
Oh, that's awesome.
You don't expect that because it's like, it's mosaic in a floor, right? And
was that in Heathrow? Was that, you said 2012, so that would have been a London
I don't remember. It was a domestic airport, so
okay.
I have to look at my notes. I took a photo of it, but it's very cute, very cute.
Super
good sense of humor.
Yeah.
So guys, Eric, thanks for being back on StarTalk.
Great to be back.
This is not the last time we're going to get you on this.
That'd be great.
So try to stay in arm's reach. Gary, always good to have you there, dude.
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
All right, Chuck.
Always a pleasure.
This has been StarTalk Sports Edition Cosmic Queries. Special guest Eric Goff talking about the physics of sports in the Olympic season. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson. As always, keep looking up.